we're going to start off with this presentation of balance and healing. And the reason for this is very understandable, as we need to have a foundation for ourselves to understand about Bamadzwan. And for us as Anishinaabe people, we start off with the medicine wheel teachings. And it's very important for us to learn about the medicine wheel teachings because it's part of our day-to-day, what do you call it? Day-to-day things that we do in the morning, for instance, when we get up, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the medicine wheel real briefly. I know most of you are probably aware about the medicine wheel, but if not, we're just going to review it. And so what is the medicine wheel? Take this thing. If we look at the medicine wheel itself, there we see that there are 4 quadrants, and in those 4 quadrants we have different various entities in there. For instance, in the east is the yellow, and there you'll see tobacco, and metal, and of course the rock, the 4 elements, and of course the east, and those 4 directions. So just take a quick look at that right now, just to review for yourself in what the medicine wheel is and those 4 areas of life, right? Bamadzwan, we need those in order for us to have a good life. And then we'll get into the land-based stuff. But for now, we need to know a little bit about the medicine wheel. And of course, in the medicine wheel, there's 4 stages of life that you see there: birth, youth, adult, and elder. And we could do a whole presentation on the medicine wheel itself if we had to. And then, of course, this most important part right here is a cornerstone of well-being, and that's your identity, belonging, purpose, and hope. So without these as a foundation, we seem to be a little bit lost in life. And of course, we look to the Creator for guidance, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, but not only the Creator, but all of those that are around us, our elders, even our little ones. Our little ones can bring us that as those things as well in life. Our sacred medicines are reflected in that medicine wheel. The most common that we use: tobacco, sage, sweetgrass, and cedar, and so on. Yeah. So in the spiritual aspect, the mental aspect, and the physical and emotional aspect of the medicine wheel, we also look at other things. In the mental aspect of it all, we look at our memories, our beliefs, our values, our attitudes, then the philosophy that we carry. Each one of us has our own philosophy in life on how we look at life, and that is generally brought to us as young people when we're little people, growing up from the youngest age all the way up. And then, of course, we change our philosophy as we get older, as we learn more and more about life. Meditation, our visions, dreams, and those 7 sacred teachings. In the physical area quadrant, there's nutrition, how we take care of ourselves, our hygiene, physical exercise, sleep, and how we behave according to those 7 teachings. In the emotional area, we know we could be very angry right now about what just happened earlier. But if we learn to control our anger and our frustration, then we can calm ourselves down and move on forward from there. And of course, anger, mad, sad, these are emotions: lonely, happy, hostile, humor. These are done in a healthy way, not destructively. In our life, without the proper guidance and care of our caregivers, these things that we talked about here so far, if we're not shown properly, then those things can be disrupted in life. And so we can go back to residential school and all those things, and look at what has happened to us as a nation, as a people, in all of this that we have yet to learn. Even our children today are beginning to understand about these emotions. As caregivers, we teach them about that, whereas beforehand, my mother, for instance, went to residential school, and she never taught me about any of these things at all. I had to learn them on my own in whatever I believed, in my perception, from whatever I learned from the world itself. And then, of course, the spiritual part is our beliefs, our values, our deeper essence of self, and the connections that we have to the universe, let's say, and to others. And of course, that's you in the middle, how you look at it. Okay. So we use these cultural teachings, the medicine wheel, to keep ourselves grounded in everyday life, right? Every one of us practices the medicine wheel in one way, shape, or form, whether we know it or not. We always make that decision every morning when we get up on how our life is going to be. So our mental aspect is as soon as we get up in the morning, how we look at that. So the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual part is basically what we're referring to here in how we live or have Bamadzwin. So every one of us gives ourselves a score, let's say from 0 to 10, on how we are living our life in order in those 4 areas of that medicine wheel. Mentally, we may be drained. Emotionally, a few minutes ago, that might have been a real hinder to us, and of course to our spirit as well. But now we're moving on from there, and let's just keep going. I wish I could get this big thing off of my screen here so I could see more of my slide. I don't know how to do that. So with that, we create mindfulness for ourselves. As we practice that, then we have a deeper essence of ourselves and how to live a healthy, balanced life. And you could look at those if you're struggling physically, for instance. As we get older, our body seems to be a little bit more weaker when it comes to our immune system and so on and so forth with those things. And so we must take focus more on our physical being and also those other ones that fall into place as well. If you have any questions, don't be shy to ask. Raise your hand or whatever it is that you may want to do. So in the morning or during the day, you may want to ask yourself, where or what am I struggling with? If anything, if you're having a great day, that's awesome. But the other thing you may want to know about afterwards is, what are my triggers? Like this, the individuals that are going through hard times with anxiety. Well, what are they struggling with? What are the triggers that they need to know about in order for them to be able to cope with those things? And then we just talked about mentioning coping skills and strategies. We can go to look to our elders, our family. We can talk about meditation. Of course, the land, which is what we're here for and what we're going to get into very soon. Then I have this little vehicle scenario about our vehicle, which is mostly referred to as maybe a car, truck, or something like that. And how those tires that take us on our journey are those 4 areas of that medicine wheel: the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. And if any one of those is running low on air, one of those tires is running low on air, the consequences of that, of course, is that we are not going to be able to get to our destination. And then, of course, the reward, if we fix that, if we take care of it in a good way, then we get to our destination and brings us back on track. All right, here we go. Let's talk about the culture and how our land base can come into that play. So what is culture? Culture is a way of life that we have been given a long time ago from our ancestors, our grandmothers and grandfathers through creation. As I was growing up as a young man, my grandfather, he would take me out on the land every day, pretty well much. Not every day, but pretty well much. A lot of times he would take me out on the land. He'd say Ambe, and then I'd follow him. I'd follow him behind him, and we would walk on the trails. And sometimes he would point to the land. He would point to earth, plants, and certain things. And he also taught me a lot of other things about the land itself. So as we know today, a lot of those things have been lost, because of residential school, day school, 60 scoop, and etc. All those different things that our people have been gone through. And I put down this as much as I can on what culture is to our people and to anyone out there who is willing to learn a little bit more about Anishinaabe. And of course, that first thing is going to be the connection to the land. It's almost as if you are drawn. As soon as you open your door, if you are driving down the highway, for instance, you are automatically drawn to looking at nature itself. You're automatically, your heart, your spirit is automatically pulled there in that direction. So as Anishinaabe, we do a lot of hunting, fishing, trapping, netting, crafts, medicines, snowshoe making, Tikanagan, birch bark, the birch bark canoe, birch bark crafts, and so on. That is part of our culture, a part of our identity of who we are as Anishinaabe people. And other individuals may have some similarities in their culture as well. So we also talked about the stars in the sky. They give us our direction on where we are living, on where we are going during the night. Of course, many of us, if we are able to, we could lay down, especially this time of season, summertime, take some time to go out on the grass somewhere in the field and just lay down and look up at the sky. If it's clear, sometimes it's cloudy, of course, and you're not able to see the stars. I remember one time when we were living in the country, we were told of a falling star show, and I thought, well, what is that? So I told my children, come on, we're going to stay up extra late tonight. You know, you don't have to go to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. We're all going to go outside, grab a blanket or something. If not, we're going to go lay on the grass outside on the lawn. And we waited for this uh, falling star show to happen. And we were all amazed. And we said, oh, look at that. You know, we are looking up at the stars. And we did see this falling star show. And they were going all different ways. I don't know what that was called, meteor shower, maybe, if that's what it was called. I believe it was. So we watched that and we were all in awe and we enjoyed that. And so we also were able to talk about the different constellations that are up there in the sky. And if you're in the city, of course, sometimes that's not possible because of all the lights in the city that overburden that they overburden the stars themselves, and you can't see that. So I encourage you to go in a park somewhere in your city area. And then, of course, we talk about Atsukan in our stories, our creation story, the legends, the myths, and everything that we share with each other. I remember my grandfather, as I was growing up, he would share these stories. And for light, he had a Coleman lantern hanging in the middle of the living room from the ceiling. And I would sort of like sneak around out of my bed, and I would go hide behind the sofa couch, and I would lay there and I would listen to my grandfather share stories with my aunts and my uncles as they sat around in the evening time. And those stories, they also carried with them the teachings, of course, of how we lived our lives, and of course how we should live our life. Then, of course, our culture also includes the elders, the shamans, the medicine men and women, and I should put in there our children, you know, our Benoji. Recently, I spent time with my Nosius just this past weekend, and what a joy that was to be able to spend time with her. And the funny thing about her is she taught me how almost anything and everything is very sacred. And maybe not to her, but she showed me that, you know, uh, how the simplest things can be brought and utilized for her enjoyment. She took a box, an empty box, and she'd come around the corner and she said, Shoma, Shoma. And I said, what? And she says, look, I got a bus. I got a bus. And she put it on the floor and she sat in there. And then later on, this little box, then it wasn't a bus anymore. It was a boat. It started. So I want you to understand where I'm going with this so that you can understand how our children uh, think and how we as adults sometimes seem to forget about that. So if you can, take some time and bring yourself back to your own childhood. So it gives us our sense of belonging, our identity in creation, purpose in life, and it also raises our self-esteem. The more we know about ourselves, the more we understand of who we are and where we come from, and especially getting back on the land, it makes us stronger as individuals. And our youth are missing that these days in understanding who they are as Anishinaabe and understanding who they are as individuals in the community. So if we instill this in our children and our youth as early as possible, like my Nojus I mentioned earlier, if I show her on the things I missed out when I was younger growing up, if I show her these things, she will be a much stronger individual than I am. And it's important for that we teach our children those things and our youth, especially in our schools. That's why I enjoy working at our school, is to be able to share what I can, either from myself or other individuals, on who we are and where we came from and the powerful beings that we are as individuals. And then, of course, I talked about my grandfather a bit earlier, about how he took me out on the land. Well, he was passing down some teachings to me. And of course, I would take those teachings and pass them down to my children. So our teachings and our values are passed down from generation to generation. In a sense, we don't need a book, if you will, to be able to share our knowledge and our teachings with everybody else, but as long as we are in the present. Culture, again, going back to that again, we do a lot of fishing, camping, and hunting. Two types of hunting in the spring and the fall. Spring is usually, and also we do fishing in the spring as well. But in the hunting part, in the spring, we hunt geese, nika, we call it nika. And in the fall time, we hunt our moose. And then, of course, during that harvest time in the fall, we go do our medicine picking. Some medicines you can pick all year round, right? And some you can only pick at certain times of the season. So it's important to go find a person who carries that knowledge. I carry very little knowledge on medicine, although I do share whatever I can with people. And then, of course, there's powwows. This time of season right now, we're in a powwow season. And I encourage you, if you haven't been to one already, to go check out a powwow. And there's on Facebook, you'll be able to find out, there's a page called Powwow Northern Ontario. I encourage you to go check that out, or even just reach out to those individuals on there, and they will tell you about where the next powwow is in your local area. Our culture is also participating and learning about our ceremonies, the sweat lodge, the sun dance, the warrior dance, the fasting, and all those other things that entail our identity and who we are as Anishinaabe. Some of these things are coming back to light because they've been lost or haven't been practiced for a long time. And the one question I always raised for myself was the powwow, because I have no understanding of today's customs, if you will, at the powwow, about the specials and the contests. And that's a new way for me to learn, to understand about the powwow. I've never had that when I was first starting out at the powwow circuit. All I did was go out there and dance as a traditional dancer, and we never seen any of these. Even the princess and brave pageants, we never used to have that long time ago as individuals. But now today, that has changed so much that it could be amazing to go watch and in a bigger powwow setting, and learning about all those different dancers and their regalia and how much work and love they put into them. And then this term here, organic psychology, hug a tree. You know, our ancestors, our elders always tell us, you know, if you're having difficulties and you don't have nobody to talk to go out into the bush and just to sit on the ground, to be able to have yourself connected through your feet, and also to Mother Earth, actually grounding to yourself to Mother Earth itself, how beneficial that can be. Whether you do it in the spring or the winter, or definitely in the summer, is the best time, of course. And it seems that a lot of times when we struggle in our life, it's going to be in the wintertime because we don't see that nice, beautiful, different colors Mother Earth has to offer us. Those blues, those yellows, those pinks, those reds, and the green that she gives us. And then of course one time we were going to Thunder Bay and I had my children with me and my nephew with me as well. And I said, "Hey, you guys, what are you doing?" And of course they were just chilling out, you know, playing on their phone, their tablet or whatever they had. And I said, "Hey, look around you, look around, look at these beautiful hills, the beautiful mountains." And then I said, "And look at all the interesting shades of green," I said. And they looked at me and they said, "Huh? What? What are you talking about?" I said, "Look out there. You'll see all these interesting shades of green." And I encourage you to do that as well, because there's different, of course, the different foliage in your area will give you these different colors. And I said, just look out there instead of on your electronic devices and check that out, and you'll see that. And if you open your eyes and your heart and your spirit to be able to see those things, you'll find much more enlightenment there than you will in anything else. And it'll also amaze you on how beautiful it is. A lot of people will take the time and drive, pardon me, down the shore of Highway 17. I don't know from where, let's say, Wawa, let's say. They'll take the time to drive from Wawa all the way down to Sault Ste. Marie on Highway 17 in the fall time, even in the later fall, as the leaves change color. And they do that because they're in awe of how much beautiful different colors there are, the yellow, the oranges, the reds, and how beautiful that season could be and change of the coloring of the leaves. And so, organic psychology, hug a tree. Um, I just asked one of my uh, elders who is very well educated in in the university level. I asked him, I said, "How would you say in terms from the university standpoint uh, on mental health, on what a hugging a tree would be?" And he told me organic psychology. Now, I must admit to you or share with you, organic psychology, people in Japan have taken this knowledge, this understanding, and they've actually incorporated as part of their own mental health um, treatment. They have a forest in Japan where they go there and they just walk in the bush. That's all they do. They walk there as part of their treatment, and they are encouraged to go hug a tree as part of their mental health well-being. And then, of course, our ceremonies. Yeah, here. Of course, organic psychology again. Um, a tree is very crucial for us to live here on Mother Earth. All plant life is crucial for us to live here on Mother Earth. And that's why it's important for us to protect our lands and to protect our waters, of course. And then from this, we understand that a tree and us, we rely on each other to live here, because all plants give off CO2. I mean, pardon me, give off O2, oxygen, in order for us to be able to breathe. Without the trees, the plants, and everything else, we would not be able to survive. And of course, as individuals, as human beings on this earth, we put off a lot of CO2, whether we breathe it out or in our vehicles and all those things. And and those plants, those trees, they actually clean our air. And we learned this when we were in public school or elementary school. And so when I got older, it began to make more sense to me on how our interconnectedness to the world, to Mother Earth, is very important on how we treat each other. We could be wiped off the earth here as human beings, and the earth would probably survive and probably grow even more healthier without us here being on it, as we know. So even the animals would be better off without us, in a sense, if you will. So it's very important for us to learn and understand that we got to take care of our Mother Earth. We got to take care of our plants. We got to take care of our animals and all of those things that are put here on Earth for us to be able to utilize in our own way of life. So let's continue on. Any questions so far? Don't be shy. Comments? Fishing ceremony. Yes, it is a ceremony. So when we go out on the land, I know if you haven't been fishing, and for those that have gone fishing, how relaxing that can be. This is a picture of my daughter in her younger years when we first started going fishing. And we taught her how to take care of that fish in a good way, you know, and also for us to be able to eat it in a good way as well. And before we go out on the land or the water, we also do our offerings of tobacco, or as we catch our fish, we are reminded of that sacredness and that life, that gift of life that that fish gave us, or any other thing that we take from the land that it has given to us. So we exchange its life for the tobacco, and we are grateful for it in that good way. And then, of course, if we needed to, we go net fish as community events arise, if we need it in abundance, or of course, netting fish can be done later in the season to provide food for us over the winter. All right, connection, our deep connection is made not only between ourselves and that fish or animal, but also between each other as individuals in a family setting. And then we're talking about medicine picking. I know a lot of you have done a lot of this, maybe not in a sense of, as it being called medicine, but we've all been out on the land picking berries. We've all been out on the land picking cedar. Well, maybe not all of us, but we've had the opportunity, hopefully, to be able to go pick berries. And of course, I can't ask you, we're not in a open room here where I could actually see who I'm talking to, but on Zoom. So I'm pretty sure many of us would raise our hand if we were asked, have you ever been blueberry picking or strawberry picking for that matter, or any other berries in your area? We all have been exposed to the qualities, the taste, and the products that we can make from those berries. Blueberry jam, blueberry pie, blueberry tarts, blueberry pancakes, and I could go on and on. And you could use different berries in there if you will as well. But it's important that our youth learn about this, learn about it so that they can carry on the traditions and the way of life that we have. And then, of course, when I talked about earlier, passing these things down from generation to generation, my grandfather taught me about the benefits of cedar uh, as a medicine. And I remember him making different kinds of medicines at home on a cast iron stove, wood stove, and giving it to us as individuals to drink for our own health and benefit. And later on, I learned about chaga as well, the benefits of chaga. And of course, now chaga, as it's widely known as a medicine to help you with cancer, is being almost to a point where it's becoming commercialized, which is in my opinion, a little bit going too far with that. Because there's more to the medicine as you take it, as you learn about it from the spiritual sense, in knowing how it heals your body, right? Same with cedar. And then, of course, Labrador tea. As I got older in my age, and if you're an individual out there who knows a man or a male who is 40 years and up, it's important that they learn about Labrador tea. Labrador tea is one of those medicines that we should be drinking 3 cups a day as men, 40 years and older. And take that with a grain of salt, but I would encourage you to research that more. For myself personally, I drink 3 cups of tea, Labrador tea every day if I can. And then, of course, we use cedar to make cedar tea and other uses for cedar as well, but mostly cedar tea. We drink that during the winter months when we find out that we're catching colds or flus or that bug that bothers us during the winter time mostly. And so cedar tea there, if you were to make cedar tea in a strong sense, drink 1 cup a day. Just some a little bit of advice for you there. And then, of course, the berries. Berries are very very important as well. And I've also learned about Monoman. Monoman is wild rice. Wild rice is very predominant now in our area. It never used to be, but it's finally coming back. I guess it's because we are starting to finally use it. And so in our school, we are learning about Monoman and the benefits of Monoman. And of course, we call that wild rice. It's black once it's completed mostly. And we use that in everyday meals if you want, or most of the times now we use it in our feast ceremonies at our school or even in life itself. And if you go to ceremonies as Anishinaabe or as Anishinaabe ceremonies, you'll notice they most likely will have some Monoman there, some wild rice. And again, I can't emphasize the importance for our youth to learn about all of these things because, of course, they are the next generation to carry on everything that we have and the knowledge that we have as well. So let's continue on. And then, of course, we get into hunting. There's ceremony in hunting. There's ceremony in almost everything. And it's out on the land. You get a connection to the animals or animals, the birds. You know, we harvest geese in the spring, we harvest partridge in the fall, and of course moose in the fall as well. And it brings connection to ourselves. And if we're taught in a good way, we also understand how that animal can sacrifice itself or give itself up to us in a sense. And a lot of times people wonder, that moose just walked right out in front of me and it stood there. And then I was able to take it afterwards. And then most times, other times, they might say, well, I saw a moose, but it ran out and it ran back in the bush right away. So if we're connected spiritually, if you will, to the land, to the animals, they will have a tendency to offer themselves to us at the opportune time when we need it. And of course, it all depends on us as individuals. And we could talk about that a little bit more if we had to, but for the purpose of this presentation, we'll just keep going. Offerings, we always say miigwech to whatever it is that we are taking from the land for its life to give us life. And so we put that offering of tobacco there right away. And that's first and foremost. A lot of times somebody might ask me, hey, Doug, what if I forget my tobacco? I don't have no tobacco with me. And I said, well, make it a point to carry tobacco with you. Is that just that easy? But if you don't, I said, I've been taught by other elders that just, take a little snip of your hair. It doesn't have to be very much. And then put that there as an offering as well. And then for me, myself, hunting is a rite of passage for our young men. My son, for instance, when he's out on the land, that's a rite of passage for him. And of course, we have women, our young women who also are hunters as well. And so it's a rite of passage for them. And here's an older picture about how my brother and I took our sons out on the land. And we taught them about the geese, and how they are monogamous, they mate for life. And also we taught them about the ice. As you see there, it could be very dangerous. And so we had to teach them these things on how to be safe, to hunt safe, to be proper. And of course, in the worst case scenario, we had to teach them on how to survive that as well if they were to fall through the ice, of which I did a couple times myself fall through the ice, but where we are hunting for migratory birds, the water's generally shallow. And so I pulled myself out of the water, was able to get myself dry and warmed up again and return back to the hunt. But we teach our boys and our youth about how to read the ice as best they can and the safety measures taken as there as well. And I was also told that you will never need so much direction on how to become a hunter because it's in your blood. As Anishinaabe people, it's in our blood to be able to survive off the land, to be able to provide for our families, and so on and so forth. And of course, that can be related to other things as well. And if you look at this picture, aside from what you see there, the decoys, my brother and our sons, just have a good view of what you see there. And if you were to stand there and to be able to feel that breeze on your face, to be able to smell the smells that are happening there, yes, it doesn't look very enlightening, but when you're there, there is also some enlightenment there as well. Even though the leaves are not there, the leaves on those some of those trees have fallen off. Of course, the birch, the poplar, the tamarack, those leaves have gone. But when you go stand there, if you're connected in a good way, and if you are out on the land as often as you can, you will see the beauty in all of that, whether it's gray or bright green, right? Okay. I can't emphasize that enough because getting out on the land is better than taking one or two Tylenol. So, you know what I'm saying there. And this is right here is a reward for our efforts. We caught some geese, and these geese that you see in the pot here are caught in a spring, and we decided to cook it in the bush itself. We didn't bring it home or anything. We brought our stuff in the bush and we cooked it right there on the spot once it was prepared. But you know, as in true Anishinaabe way of life of cooking, we didn't put no dumplings in there because, to be honest with you, I didn't know how to make dumplings. Nobody knew how to make dumplings. We didn't have our Koiwug there, our women, to teach us or show us. They did come later on, a few hours later, to join us in the bush for the feast, along with our other little ones. Also trapping, right? Our culture is part of trapping, and getting into this. I'm going to go really quickly through this, but this is the way we used to provide for ourselves, our clothing and whatnot. And today, trapping is not widely seen as a income maker or providing income to our families anymore because there's not a high demand for it. But these are pictures of provided to me from my friends, Peter Razovich and Mike Fisher. So I just want to acknowledge them. And this young man here, he's a grown man now. You see him there holding an otter. His name is Anatan, Peter's son. So yes, we'll skim through these really quickly. And this is the powwow. If you've ever been to a powwow, there's something that happens at a powwow event, that interconnectedness that we have with the land. And again, all those emotions that come about as you're out on there, the pride that comes with it, the spirituality and our interconnectedness with the Gijimanido as we enter that circle of life, as they call it. And that's how one of the ways we provide healing to ourselves is by attending these. And if you're struggling, like I said earlier, go see a local powwow and just go sit there for a while and enjoy what you see. And there you go. Sing, dance, pray, circle of life. It continues on and on and on. And then our colors, of course, we could get right into that as well, about our identity and this, getting your Anishinaabe name, your clan. At the beginning, I introduced myself as Makadewizi Maingan, which translates to Black Wolf Man. And these individuals here, they most likely have their own spirit name as well in their clan. The one in the top left corner there, that's my son in his younger days. And his name is Little White Bear at that time. And the one picture in the right side there with the white feather across his cheek is my brother. I don't recall his name. Apparently, though, he's a wolf clan. I'm a bear clan. So then in the lower picture there is a picture of one of my elders, Garland Moses. You may have heard of him. I just recently ran into him at the Nipigon powwow. Had some lovely words with him. So if you get a chance to go visit that gentleman, he's a very knowledgeable elder, carries lots of wisdom. And then more pictures of my family here. And what we do at a powwow, we socialize, we laugh and cry laughing. We laugh so hard we cry. And then, of course, we make new friends and greet old ones. And that's all a part of our healing, right? Gives us our purpose, our identity, and who we are as Anishinaabe people or Indigenous people. And I found this little excerpt from somewhere, and it says, to dance is to pray, to praise, to heal is to give, and to give is to live. To live is to dance. So that circle continues on and on again. And this little person that you see right here, that's Ruby. She's a mother right now. That is way long time ago, as you can tell this picture. So next, another way of land, how we get back to the land and how we heal is through Maduro Swan. Maduro Swan is another way, or our way of saying a sweat lodge. And this is a sweat lodge over 20 years ago that I built. And that's when I started listening to my elders and doing what my purpose in life is, and that is to carry a sweat lodge. And so we built the sweat lodge in our territory, and we continue with that today in our school. So in our school, we take the boys out on the land and we teach them about harvesting. We teach them about the proper techniques and the way we harvest those poles for the sweat lodge. And we take our youth out. We take our boys out in certain ways and teach them their roles and their responsibilities of how they should act out on the land. And of course, in our culture, the roles and responsibilities they carry. Then, of course, our women, they have their own roles and responsibilities in our culture as well. So, and this is just how the frame of the sweat lodge looked at that time. There's many teachings that go into this. That's an entirely different presentation altogether, and how we erect a sweat lodge and how we build it, and all the interconnectedness that you see there with those red broadcloth ties. If you could see that, I'm not sure if you can or not, but since this is being recorded and you're going to be able to watch it again, you can go back and watch it. And then, of course, this is what it looks like there in that particular spot in current present day. This is our Migizi Migonan, Migizi Wasasan School. And what you see the building there is the Wajosh Uigwa, which translates to the teaching lodge. And they call it Wajosh. Wajosh is the muskrat. And that's what the elders gave the name to that teaching lodge. And in front is the sweat lodge that I carry and I provide to our students who are willing and interested in wanting to learn a little bit more about their culture and how we get back to the land, and learn how to heal ourselves as well. And then, of course, it's open to community members as well, depending on circumstances. Madoda Swan, and that's how you say sweat lodge. Again, land-based activities, land-based healing. This is the original place where we came from, and the sweat lodge is known as the womb of Mother Earth, and of course we know we originally came from the womb in our own mother, so you can kind of put that relation there together. And then, of course, the Madoda Swan was practiced for time immemorial, I guess, if you will. Our ancestors used to carry the lodge long time ago. And if it doesn't nourish your soul, get rid of it. And the way you do that is you go back into the sweat lodge. That's one way of looking at it. And that's pretty well all I have for you in this presentation. I could have went on further. I had some more stuff to share with you, but I think in the regards for time restraints, I think that was pretty appropriate, and to be able to share with you with what I what I have in regards to land-based knowledge. I had another presentation which incorporated our high school and our school and the activities that it carried, but I didn't think it would be appropriate for this time because I'm not at the school. But maybe in the future we can do that presentation as well and go on from there. And of course, this is my contact information, my name, my email. I also have a YouTube channel, which I sort of dabble in or dabble in, if you will, and it's called Outdoor Life with Doug B. And on there, there's some videos that I'm trying to share with individuals. If you want to, if you're interested, go check that out. On there, you'll learn a little bit more about the cedar medicine. You'll learn about the Labrador tea, even that we talked about. So for that, I guess I'll leave it up to you guys if you have any questions for me and me, which we're listening.
Miigwech, Doug. I just wanted to say that I missed you at the powwow this weekend. I saw Garland Moses. I didn't know you were there too. So I
Yeah,
thought I'd seen you around, but
yeah.
yeah, I got to talk to him too. And it was really like talking to Garland, and he is coming to the gathering on July 29th and 30th.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yes. I brought there with my notice. I took on the Mashoma's duties,
Mm-hmm.
and my daughter and her partner, they took their baby and they went their way, and I took my notice. And like I said earlier, she taught me about that box. She just took a cardboard box and she made all different kinds of things. You know, her imagination is so broad in comparison to what I did. But she wanted to go to Haya Haya, the powwow. So I said, okay, let's go Haya Haya. And from there, she didn't want to leave. That heartbeat of that drum, right, kept her there. She wanted, no, she would say, no, Shoma, Haya Haya. It's amazing how, our children are drawn to that. But yes, next powwow I think I'm going to is Pace Flat this weekend.
Tim Hardy here.
Mm,
I just wanted to go back a little way bit when you were talking about lying out on the blanket or the grass and watching the stars. I have a site that I've been checking on, and it's got to do with the stories by Shawan Art.
ah,
If you get to look at that through your computer or even your phone link, it's a beautiful story. But it also has a lot of Anishinaabe went for the different formations in the sky,
they had constellations.
constellations, yeah, and
Yeah.
so on. It explains, things about the North Star, the Big Dipper, all that stuff. And
Hmm.
it's a very good site to see on your telephone even,
Yes.
So miigwech.
Uh-huh. Miigwech for sharing that with me. I'll have to check it out. If you could say that site name again,
I
Tim.
got on. I checked in, and it's. I typed in stories by Shawan Art. Zhaawan Art.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a link you can check on your computer, but it gives you a lot of language in there and everything else,
Okay.
and the different star symbols and so on. Uh
I
huh.
found it. Miigwech. Jawan Art. Yes. Ojibwe Lessons and Stories by Jawan Art.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you scroll down, once you're in it, you scroll down. They got the Anishinaabe names of those different constellations.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Miigwech. Uh-huh.
All right, any more comments or questions for Doug before we close our session for today?
I'm just curious. I know Tim shared uh about the grass when I took my kids out. If there's anything else, anybody, something stood out for you, that'd be interesting to know as well. Maybe which Tim as well for sharing. But if anybody
Yeah.
else wanted to
I've
share,
I've been there laying on the grass sometimes, and I haven't seen too many of those falling stars
yeah, your
because
showers.
I usually fall asleep. Yeah, and I find your presentation very, very wonderful. We got to keep on teaching our children and
Yeah,
ourselves about these things. Miigwech.
oh my gosh. I went through it pretty quickly because I didn't realize the time. And generally speaking, I take a little bit longer. And there's a lot of things I didn't share about, like going to the beach, for instance, taking your shoes off and being able to walk in the water. being able to feel the sand between your toes, or even if you take your shoes off and go out on the grass on your lawn and just feeling that connectiveness between you and Mother Earth and the grass and all that she has to offer us, and the healing that comes from that, in a good way, of course, and how wonderful it could be if you just opened your heart and mind and brought yourself to that level, and just to be able to accept and receive all that our universe has to offer us. Yeah.
I know for myself, I recently did a 4-day fast and I was really worried about doing it because I'm diabetic. And I listened to my elders and they talked about how, when you're struggling to get back close to the land. And so I did that and I was really amazed on how much just hugging that tree really brought my heartbeat back into balance. I wasn't panicking anymore and I was able to get through that time when I was struggling, when I was starting to feel that body hunger. And when I hugged the tree, it really brought me back to a place where I could, um, get back into my bring that spirit back into the forefront and do the work that I needed to do. And then I wasn't hungry anymore. And so just that reconnection to the land and hugging that tree was so powerful that I couldn't, and I still can't explain into words. I think it's something until you actually do it and feel it
Yeah,
that you'll know what it means.
for sure. And me, which, by the way, for going out and, a fasting ceremony is, it's not the easiest thing to do. Sometimes people think, oh, 4 days, that's not very long, right? But there's a lot of things that you go through, and I'm sure you can attest to that yourself, in all those four quadrants that we talked about at the beginning of the medicine wheel: spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And and I'm sure you have much to share if you're able to, with individuals of your experience. And of course we could say that the same thing about the Madodas one, the sweat lodge as well. A lot of people say, it's very hot in here and there, I don't think you should go in there. Or when I went in there, it was so hot. The first thing we do is we mentally prepare ourselves, and of course physically prepare ourselves to go into that ceremony, whether it be a sweat lodge or in your case a fast. And of course we have other individuals who will do sun dance or warrior dance, and the preparation that they must go through as well, in order to go through that ceremony. So me, Gwitch, I don't know how to say that to you in a good way as much as I want to, is Miigwech for sharing that with us, Bridget, on how you went through your fasting ceremony. And I'm sure it was a very enlightening and powerful experience for you. Oh, Miigwech for sharing that.
Oh, thank you. And yes, definitely a lot of mental work to get ready for that. I spent almost a month and a half getting myself mentally ready to be able to do that. And I'm so glad I took that time.
Yes, for sure. I was told uh, by individuals to prepare them for a fast ceremony. The number one thing they had to look at was the caffeine intake, and and knowing that you're not going in there or with your coffee cup or anything like that. So you have to prepare yourself physically in withdrawing away from that coffee, because so much times we drink coffee every day. Myself, I'm a tea drinker, but the individuals that drink coffee 2 or 3 cups a day will have to prepare themselves as well in that way. Yes, a very sacred and powerful ceremony. Oh, anybody else? Okay, I'm all good. I'm feeling overjoyed right now.
Yes, to me, Gwetch, Doug, that was amazing. We all appreciate you sharing your knowledge. And yes, Chris said in the chat a reminder that this presentation will be uploaded onto the KEB virtual learning environment as well as on our YouTube channel. So you can review it afterwards, and we'll send that link out to all the registered participants after this.
Wow.
All right. Miigwech Kinawea, Miigwech Doug, and Bamapi.
Mapi. Enjoy your week.
Yeah, you too.
Doug, Bamapi.